Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me for the August astrology video by me, the Cool Crone. So let's get into it. We're going to start actually with the last few days of July when the moon hits Leo 5 degrees 39 for a new moon on the 28th at 1:55 a.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. So this is the same day when Jupiter stations retrograde for her long vacation. The planets are all lining up for summer vacation mode, but not everyone is playing nice. We have a month of ups and downs with many of the larger planets in retrograde. By month's end, all of the giants will be sleeping in retrograde, which is a blessing because if they were all in direct motion, there would be an even more volatile atmosphere. So in this video, we're going to cover the planetary ingresses for this period for most of August. We're going to cover the retrograde planets and the planetary action. So instead of calling it the planetary aspects where I name all the aspects, I'm going to try to tell you more about what the effect of those aspects is going to be collectively, which is a little bit harder to do than just aspect by aspect, but I think we need to look at these aspects as a whole because there is so much going on. So let's start with the planetary ingresses. So first, on August 5th, we have Mercury entering Virgo. So this is going to change the way people are thinking, speaking, and communicating in general. It's going to make people more precise. It's going to make people more careful. And it's also going to show that people are more concerned with Virgo-type topics like healthcare and your working conditions and exercise and diet and things like that. Now, we also have on the 12th, Venus is entering Leo. So this is going to put the Venus-Leo people in a happy mood. That's me. I have Venus in Leo. And when Venus is in Leo, people just enjoy a party a bit more. They enjoy being the center of attention and showing off and wearing nice clothes, or if they're at the beach, wearing very little clothes. But Venus in Leo is a wonderful placement for Venus. She doesn't always love being in the fire signs, but Venus in Leo is pretty nice because she really gets to show off. All right. Then on August 21st, which is my sister's birthday, Mars goes into Gemini. Now, this is a big switch of energy from Taurus to Gemini. So you're going to see a lot of people become a lot more active when Mars goes into Gemini. And then we have on the 24th, the sun will enter Virgo. This is a huge change. We're going to talk about that later. And on the 27th, which is also the new moon, we have Mercury entering Libra. So we're going to talk about all these things, and they're going to be overlapped with planetary action as we go along. Sorry about the noise upstairs. I do live in a house and my daughter's room is right above this office. And also we have a storm going on outside. So there is going to be a little bit of strange and strong ambient noise. Now let's talk about the retrograde planets. First, we have Jupiter, which is retrograde all month. Then we have Saturn, which is retrograde all month. Next, we have Neptune, which is retrograde all month. And we also have Pluto, which is retrograde all month. And last but not least, we have Uranus, which is going to station retrograde on August 24th at 18 degrees 55 minutes Taurus. Now, you remember at the beginning of the year when I was doing astrology for the whole year and I was mentioning the 18 degrees and then I corrected myself and said, whoops, no, it's really 24 degrees for Pluto. Well, I think that was kind of I won't say a Freudian slip. I think it was more a psychic slip because 18 degrees has turned out to be a very specific and sensitive degree for all of 2022. And Uranus stationing at this degree is no exception. So look for that degree in your chart because it's going to be important for a long time. Now let's talk about planetary action. Now, in the final week of July, we do have that new moon on July 28th. Planets during this interval will be stirring up every anxiety you have ever felt. The moon opposition of Saturn and square Neptune will make it hard to understand the reality of what's really going on. Venus will be in touchy Cancer, which doesn't help matters, and Jupiter in Aries continues to give loudmouths a reason to speak. Not helpful. Emotions run amok while the moon triggers each little configuration on its way around the zodiac. We have Venus and Jupiter in square, which is just going to pour out overblown emotions all over the place. And we also have Mercury squaring Mars. And this will allow the trigger of Mars to trigger in people their ideas, which is Mercury, to scheme and plot. So this is not going to be a soft and fuzzy kind of period going from the new moon in Leo into the beginning of August. With this new moon, there is no shortage of power games and jealousy happening here because the moon is opposing Pluto. So this new moon at the end of July is really quite toxic. Now, as the moon passes through Virgo, it will form a grand trine with Pluto and Uranus, which is an opportunity for visionary thinking, but the Venus-Saturn opposition sort of lets the wind out of that one. In other words, the energy at this point is better for visualization rather than manifestation. In early August, the first week of August, Mercury, which is shown here, Mercury, which is shown here, will square Mars and Uranus at some point. So Mars and Uranus are together, and Mercury is going to square them. And this is going to trigger people to lose all reason and act impulsively, Uranus, to suit their own whims. So in the first week of August, maybe you want to just stay indoors and pretend that you still have to calm your pets down from fireworks from July. Now, Mars will be conjunct Uranus tightly for the first week of August and may still be felt for another week. Remember, the combo of Mars and Uranus energy will make everything feel a little too quick, a little too hot, and you won't really be able to remember what's happening. It also has a tendency towards aggression and even violent behavior. So keep the matches and sharp objects far away from each other and from idle hands. Throughout the month, the planets highlight the duality we find ourselves in on this planet as the old patriarchy lashes out in spasms of male power dominance as that paradigm dies a slow and excruciating death. But just before the full moon, there will be a grand cross between the moon in Scorpio, the sun in Leo, Saturn in Aquarius, and Uranus in Taurus. So tensions will continue to cause more and more friction between the political left and right and between people in general. On August 11th, we will have the full moon in Aquarius. And around the time of the full moon, we will have Pluto trine Uranus and Uranus conjunct Mars and the North Node, all in Earth signs. This means we will be sitting with the consequences of our actions, building up tension over the loss of personal freedoms, personal rights, and actions versus our own feelings of destiny. It may be rather volatile, and we may see protesters or even riots during this full moon. Now, the full moon will conjunct Saturn and square Uranus and Mars in Taurus, creating a T-square that builds this tension even further. When the energy has nowhere to go, it creates anxiety. This is also a holdover from the new moon anxiety energy, which isn't great, but the alternative is out and out explosions and violence. So I'll take anxiety. Now, these planets challenge our personal freedoms and our own thoughts about what we deserve and how we'll stand up for ourselves and set our boundaries. Because most of us do have some kind of boundary issue, this will come under scrutiny during the full moon. Pluto is a slow mover to begin with. Uranus has slowed down to a crawl in anticipation of its retrograde on August 24th, right before the next new moon. So This trine will stay in place for quite a while. And the trine I'm talking about is Pluto trine Uranus, which is going to be conjunct Mars and the North Node. Now, Mars will move on, but probably not before some damage has been done. There is power here, and perhaps an opportunity for more damage, even explosive power at one's disposal. This is when we will see many people leave toxic relationships or leave groups where toxic individuals are running the show. Now, between the full and the new moons, the energy is flowing much easier, but this may just give individuals the impetus to make their break and leave the bad blood behind. Many relationships, and I'm not necessarily talking about romantic ones, but more like memberships and friendships, will meet their demise during this weird cocktail of planets in the late summer. By mid-month, we have a series of spicy aspects that are probably best played out while on vacation. And on August 19th, Venus trines Jupiter, so you could have a really terrific date night. The thing to remember throughout this month is that the key is really Mars and Uranus. Uranus will be triggered by the Moon, Mercury, and Mars, all while holding in a trine to Pluto. So every trigger will most likely bring very, very dramatic results. It could result in extreme weather, or extreme protests, or extreme violence. Just stay tuned. Once the sun enters Virgo on August 24th, things sober up considerably. Work, productivity, and efficiency all come into sharp focus. This final week has many aspects contributing to high creativity as well. The moon trine Neptune and Jupiter, sextile Uranus, Mercury and Mars, and conjunct Venus. So many highly creative aspects, all in a big lineup. And then on August 27th, we have the new moon in Virgo. This new moon is accompanied with Mercury entering Libra, which is a calming influence to be sure, but there are also planets that return to the more anxiety, stressful, look over your shoulder type of energy. Some planets cool down and settle into work mode as the moon conjuncts Mercury and trines Mars. Energy is once again flowing in a more or less normal circuit. Now, this will be in the days following the new moon, once the moon goes into Libra and conjuncts it. With all the retrograde planets, we can expect a period not too dramatically punctuated with violence or explosive weather, so not super, super extreme. All right, so that's it for the month of August. If you're interested in getting a reading from me, please visit my website, thecoolcrone.com, where you can see the tarot card of the day, check out the chart of the moment, and see the moon phase. You can also book your appointment for a reading, and I'd love to meet you there through Zoom. Please check it out. And stay tuned for the full moon predictions for all signs for August. And in a couple of weeks, I'll do the September astrology video. Thank you for liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.